Wait, so you were pushing the mattress in front of your car the whole
It
time?
was just hooked under my frame and just dragging, and these coils were just heating up and just like shooting off like glowing hot ninja stars and all the other cars on the road.
Welcome to the One Up Podcast. I am your host, El Caballo, aka Tony. Here with some of my nearest and dearest. I got Doughboy, or Doe, Mateo, and Pucho in the building. How you doing today, Doe?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. It's been a nice week. I capped it off yesterday. I got drunk and I decided that I wanted to go to 42nd Street and smoke weed in the middle of 42nd Street. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna look at all the lights. I'm gonna smoke me some weed.
What is the significance of 42nd Street, just for our listeners and for me, who doesn't have a good mental map of New York?
I mean, 42nd Street is pretty much it's like the avenue of the world. Like it's like an intersection, and two roads meet, and then they go in one direction. But there's like lights that you can see from the space station, basically. So I wanted to smoke in
Isn't that
smoke
right
in
by
front of
Times
the lights.
Square?
Yes, it is Times Square. 42nd Street
Right.
to New Yorkers, 40 Deuce, whatever you want to call it, is
Right.
yeah, that's where all the
40
lights are at.
Right.
40 dues.
And aside from like Grand Central, it's literally like the one of the,
Mhm.
like the train station with like the most like junctions, I guess.
Yeah. I learned something else this week that I didn't know that the George Washington Bridge is the most used bridge in the world. I was like, I didn't know
In the
that.
entire world.
It gets used the most. Yeah, more cars and traffic and freight cross the bridge than any other bridge in the world. I was like, yeah.
That's
York.
crazy.
New York.
Very proud of our bridge usage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. Plus,
Wow.
I've been a cycling bitch as always, but I'm disappointed. I'm seeing more elitists on the road.
What's the difference?
Elitists are just as bad as cagers because they believe that the road is theirs and nobody else can be on it. And if you're not riding how they like you to ride, then they're gonna try to tell you you're not gonna speed limit.
So elitists are other cyclists.
Listen, not all of them are bad, but you know one when you see one. When you see a bike that's worth $10,000, $14,000, usually there's some like it comes with now you got a chip on your shoulder.
Wait, is there a speed limit for bicycles?
In Central Park, yes.
No shit. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's
What's the
20 miles
speed
an
limit?
hour. 20 miles an hour, yeah. But nobody listen. Come on, bro. If you're trying to break your personal record on a lap or something, it's not gonna go slower.
20 miles per hour seems like a pretty decent speed, honestly, to be going on a bike.
Yeah, but I mean, a bike can do that easily. Like if you're on a specific bike, like
I
those
mean,
bikes
Doe
can-
got that fucking that motorbike.
yeah, I'm on an pedal electric. But yeah, I reach 28 miles an hour very quickly.
Now, can you get a speeding ticket by? Do
I
bike
don't-
cops pull you
I don't-
over or something?
I don't
Do they,
think
like-
so.
Only for the cagers.
They have little like helmets with like little lights on top, and they pull
Well,
you
you
over.
can't get
or
a
something?
speeding ticket unless you have a driver's license and a license plate, specifically the
Yeah.
license plate.
No, like you can get red lights, all that stuff. Anything that pretty much a car can get, a bike can get, with reason. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you could definitely get stopped. And I saw somebody on my Strava app the other day got arrested for running a red light. I guess he got mouthy with the cop, and the cop was just like, "Okay, let's just
He was
take
riding a
you down
bike?
to the station, riding a bike." Yeah,
One
That's
for the
not-
cagers.
that's not cool, man.
Follow the law. You want to ride a bike on the streets and speed and all this shit? Follow the law.
Judge
Nah, like,
got to tell you that no cyclist is above the law.
None.
the rules that apply to bikes don't really apply to cars. More or less of the fact that you're not going to hurt anybody
You're gonna hurt yourself.
Going 15 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour on a bike.
And you eat a red light and get smacked by a car. Yeah, you're gonna hurt. You're gonna affect my car, and you're gonna probably die.
In certain aspects, yeah, but like bikes shouldn't really be treated as cars because they're not. Cars are like thousand pound killing machines if you think about it. Like,
so we shouldn't treat if the bikes or if the cyclist is cycling on the road, we shouldn't treat it like a car.
I think yeah, you should treat it as a vehicle, but not necessarily a car. I think these things have like different.
So you treat a motorcycle different than you treat a car?
Well, yeah, motorcycles can go in between cars and stuff like that. Motorcycles can kind of finagle their way through traffic differently than cars can. So yeah, even with motorcycles, it's different.
I did look it up, and lane splitting is not explicitly legal in a lot of states, but it's also not explicitly illegal. So yeah, motorcycles can technically lane split. Like after I made that statement, I went and looked it up, and apparently, like in most states, it's just not explicitly illegal. There are a handful of states that have made it illegal for motorcycles to lane split.
Your motorcycle licensed up, right?
Mm-hmm. I got my CM, and for some reason, my license, I don't have to renew it for like a decade now. So I guess that's cool.
Nice. 10 years when Pucho's daughter gets out of her booster seat, you'll be renewing your license.
Mm-hmm. When your gift will finally no longer be useful.
Gotta throw that shit out.
You're gonna burn it. I'm gonna get sick of it.
So how was your weekend or in the week, Mateo?
Mine was pretty uneventful, man. I've just been working. I caught up with Invincible and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Man,
nice.
both of those shows are getting real interesting.
Yes.
Man, if you haven't been watching like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier,
No.
the episode last week was brutal. The ending to that one was just the symbolism of like that blood on the shield, just so good.
I don't think Pucho's watched any of them.
What was the symbolism?
You gotta watch it.
It's Captain America's shield and it's covered in blood, man. Like it's a big damn deal.
Man asked a question and took off.
Dipped. Got tired
Yeah,
of that topic real fast.
No, but Invincible, man, that's yeah, that was pretty good.
So for some of us who haven't watched it yet, which is me, what happens? What's so special about this episode?
For Invincible
or for Falcon?
Well, Falcon I haven't watched at all, so I just have no stakes in that whatsoever. But yeah, Invincible. I've already read all the comics. So unless they're doing some major deviations, then like, it's not. I don't anticipate it being like a big deal.
They just went. They went to the college was like the main like plot, but it's heating up. Basically, like his wife has started investigating, and she knows that he murdered the what were they? The Guardians? Is that their name?
Yeah. Guardians of the Globe.
Yeah, she knows that he murdered the Guardians of the Globe now, and he might have killed the costume maker. They haven't revealed if he did or not yet, but they had
I would assume that he did.
They had a real tense conversation on top of the building. He brought him a 6-pack of beer, and they had this real tense conversation.
That's crazy, man. Because
I haven't watched that yet. That must be the 6th episode.
Yeah,
I just watched them get their ass kicked. I was like, oh shit.
He gets the shit beat out of him.
I was like, oh my God. Yo, fuck his dad for just nigga just watched him almost die.
Hey, he tried to teach him a lesson, I guess.
Fuck that nigga. That nigga
I mean,
murdered
if
all
you
the
know
Guardians.
that your son isn't gonna die.
Does he know that he isn't going to die though? Because
he's
like
half human.
Yeah, dude. Invincible's got like his power level is all over the place. Because there's an episode where they show him like throwing an asteroid like just out back into space.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then like these dudes that he fought this week were just like normal dudes with like RoboCop armor on, is what it looked like, and they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but there was like 1 billion of them, right?
There were like 4 of them. It wasn't that many. It was like 4 of them.
All right, because in the comics, there's a scene where he's in the sewers, and there's like 100 of these guys jump on him.
No, and this one is just like 4 of them. There's just like 4 dudes.
Yeah, those scenes are so fucking brutal. I'm like, yo, sometimes I have to rewind. But basically, the 5th episode, probably one of my favorite episodes with the the Rock dude and like his little redemption story, I guess. But that has been
The
my favorite
opposite
so
of a
far.
redemption. It was he deceived Invincible.
Mm-hmm. Got some Kingpin vibes from that dude.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm assuming that's closest like analog. They all seem like they have like some kind of analogs to like a DC or like a Marvel character or something, right?
Yeah, he starts wearing a white suit. He's
he
straight
really?
up Kingpin. Yeah.
How was your weekend, Pucho? And week, should I say?
I mean, I went down to visit my mom. More eventful than usual. I got a new refrigerator. Like now, it's like maybe 3-4 months old already at this point. But I didn't know what to do with my other fridge, so I told my mom I'd give it to her, and I didn't really have a way to drive it down to her at that time. So then over the weeks, I got like a hitch, not the ball joint or whatever, but like the whole thing that hooks onto your car. Like I got that installed, and then then this past weekend I got a trailer, and I fucking went and put the fridge in the trailer, and I drove it down to my mama's crib.
You
like
bought a
2.5
trailer?
hours away. No. I rented it. It was like $30 or something.
Okay.
Man, this shit was fucking funny, man. Because I bought those fucking ratchet clamp things or whatever, straps. And I'm like, all right, boo, boo, boo. I'm like, oh, this all right, I got this, right? I got the dolly, I dollied it into the trailer, and I'm like, yo, I'm gonna just strap this to the dolly, like so that even it's just there's just more weight, it's like a little more stable or whatever. I'm like, and I hook it onto I wrap the wraps around the fridge and onto the dolly, and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm like, all right. And then I'm hooking it elsewhere, and I settle on another spot on the dolly, and I'm like, bet. And I fucking close the trailer, and I'm like, all right, babe, let's ride out. And I start driving, and I don't know, maybe 15 minutes later, I'm on the highway, and I'm just driving, boom, boom. And then I'm looking at my rear view, and I'm like, oh man, that trailer looks like the fridge looks a little further back than I put it.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, that looks weird. I'm like, that shit looks like it went back. I'm like, what the fuck? So I had to pull off of the highway. So my fucking dumbass, while I'm pulling over, I realized immediately what I did. So I had the fridge and the dolly. I did one strap around the fridge and I hooked it to the dolly, and another strap around the fridge and hooked it to the dolly. So the fridge wasn't connected to the trailer at all. It was just the dolly and the fridge together. And I'm like, when I'm pulling off, it's like it clicked. I'm like, I'm a fucking moron.
You did 15 minutes on the highway with it like that?
I lucked out. Shout out to Lena and her new car seat, right? I had a car seat lying around for a long time now, and I'm like, boom. So I was giving it to one of my friends. So I was also bringing a car seat down. I had put the car seat in between the fridge and the back door of the trailer. And so the fridge flew to the back, and it was cushioned against this car seat. And it, I don't know. The fucking fridge didn't fly off on the highway. That's all that mattered. God, and then I got out and I hooked it up correctly, and then I drove for 2.5 hours just fine.
Could you imagine riding behind a vehicle that's pulling a trailer like a fridge, and that fridge coming off of the trailer as you're driving behind them?
Yeah, I'd feel terrible. It would be shitty. Also, not to defend myself too much here, because I was pretty stupid in the way that I did that. But in my defense, don't drive behind trailers, people. You see someone hauling shit, don't drive behind them. You see lawn equipment, don't drive behind them. You see them big ass trucks where they're transporting rocks, that's the quickest way to break your windshield. Don't drive. Just if you see someone hauling shit, just change your lanes. Past these motherfuckers.
I was driving down 35 here in Austin one time. I was up in Round Rock visiting some buddies, and I was driving back home to I lived in South Austin at the time. And I was driving behind this truck that, like, this truck was piled. It was the entire truck bed was filled with mattresses. I don't know what in the world these guys were doing, but they had this entire truck bed filled with mattresses. Weren't secured at all. But I was like, driving behind them, and I couldn't get around them. And one of the mattresses fell off, and I was driving I had a 97 Honda Civic at this time. This terrible, terrible car, but super, super low to the ground. So this mattress falls off this truck. And I have, I'm like I'm probably closer to this truck than I should have been. So this mattress just goes under my car, like immediately. Like there's no like swerving around or anything. It just goes under my car.
What the fuck?
And I looked in the rearview mirror, and I never saw the mattress come out. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then like,
but you're driving, you're just going,
and I'm still driving, and like they're doing construction on 35 at this time, so there's like no exits. There's like nowhere to pull off or anything. All the exits are blocked off for like 3 miles. So I'm just driving. I'm like, fuck. I was like, I don't want to pull over on this side of the road. The fuck am I gonna do? And then I start noticing these like something in the review just like flying behind me, and it's just like these glowing things, and I'm like, oh shit. I was like, it was one of those coil mattresses, and the coils are heating up from the friction on the road. And then I'm just flinging these hot pieces of metal behind me on the highway at 60 miles per hour while I'm driving down the highway.
Wait, so you were pushing the mattress in front of your car the whole time?
It was just hooked under my frame and just dragging, and these coils were just heating up and just like shooting off like glowing hot ninja stars and all the other cars on the road. So it was crazy. I ended up having to pull off finally, and luckily, like because my car was so prone to breaking down, I had like a full toolkit in the back of my trunk, and I had tin snips in there, and I had to like cut this frame out because it had gotten wrapped around the axle, it got wrapped around like everything under the car that it possibly could have. It was craziness. It was one of the most stressful, weird things I've ever had happen on the highway.
That's fucking wild.
Oh man, that's insane.
I feel so bad for the people that I was throwing these like red hot rings at though, because like seriously, when I parked the car, I had to let it sit for like 5 minutes for the frame to cool off. Like it was just bright red, like under the car for a solid like 5 minutes when I pulled off the highway.
Dude, the worst thing that happened to me, I'm just thinking like 2 different things. One was one time I had a broken radiator in there's a hoopty that I owned for like, dude, I just stopped driving that bitch the other day. Like, so I was driving this car for like 9 years, and my brother was driving it for years prior. It was a 2003 Acura TL. It would look nice, yo. I love this shit. Dude, the shit broke down over everything, man. The fucking radiator went bad one day. I was just driving around and I just noticed. I was like, damn, the temperature in the temperature reader in my car is like kind of high. And I was like, what the fuck? So I pulled off, and I was like, maybe the radiator liquid is just like kind of low, like the coolant or whatever. And I don't know why. I know why. In those times, my car broke down so much, I had spare everything in my car. Literally spare brakes. I had a wheel. Anything you could think of, I could repair my car on the spot. Like,
dude, when you drive shitty cars like that, man, you have basically an entire AutoZone in your trunk at all times.
I had brake pads. I had a fucking not an axle. The fucking my fucking brain is broke right now. I don't know. The rotor. I had a rotor. I had a lot of shit in my car, dude. And so I get out and I pour coolant in this motherfucker, turn the car back on, temperature's fine. I sit there for a few minutes, temperature stays fine. Start driving off, another 5 minutes or so, temperature starts going up. And I'm like, all right, it's while I'm driving. But like I'm now in the middle of 2 locations that I can't just leave my car here. So I proceeded to spend like the next hour and a half driving 5-10 minutes, pouring a little coolant, closing it, getting back in the car, turning it on, driving. And it was horrible, dude.
So,
yeah, that shit was just horrible. And the other one time I was driving, I rented a car in Rhode Island and I was driving to New Jersey, and a fucking rock just jumped off the road and hit my windshield.
Those are the worst.
It just a crack on the fucking thing. And I was so fucking mad because I'm like, dude, I'm in a rental. Like, this is a problem I don't even want to do. And in retrospect, I'm glad I was in a rental. I never paid a dime for that shit. I just returned it. Nobody said nothing. They were like, the guy was like, don't worry about it. Dude, the shit started like a little ass crack. By the time I got to New Jersey and then back to Rhode Island, dude, it was like the whole fucking windshield. It was fucking massive. Like just the pressure of the wind driving was just opening the crack the whole time.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
So that same 97 Civic, you mentioned overheating. So the Civic eventually developed this issue where it was overheating. This car was the worst. This is one of the worst cars I've ever owned. I think this beast is still down in my dad's place, just in like his little like graveyard of cars that he's like, one day I'll get these working. Because he's got several of those. But
that's where my Acura came from. Mm-hmm. My dad's graveyard of cars. It was missing the whole front. We replaced the whole front, got a new engine, all this shit. And then ever since then, it just kept breaking down. It's terrible.
So this thing started overheating, which fine, whatever, right? It sucked because like, you know, the trick to keeping your car from overheating whenever it's overheating, right? Run that heater at full blast. It pulls some of the heat off the engine. It'll get you to where you're trying to go, kinda.
I wish I knew that.
This car developed an issue shortly after that, where the windows would no longer roll down.
Oh my god!
So like I'm over there on 35, driving up to Round Rock again, going and visiting my buddies up there, and the car starts overheating, and it's like one of those days where like 35 is just stopped. You're just in bumper to bumper traffic, and traffic's just at a complete stop. Windows are rolled up because they won't roll down. Blast in the heater at full temperature, full speed.
I love
it. This is like, I forget how long ago this was, but there was this time in Texas where we hit like 100 degrees for like 100 days in a row. And it was during that time. So like it's 105 degrees outside. I'm running the heater full blast. And my only little bit of oasis is that I have my sunroof on the car completely open. So there I am, like stripped off. Like I've took my shirt off. I took as much clothes off as I legally could. Like hanging my head out of the top of the sunroof in 35 traffic, just covered in sweat.
That would be the worst experience.
I got up to their place in Round Rock, and I just like seriously like just stuck my head in the freezer for a solid like 5 minutes. Like I thought I was gonna die. That entire summer though, like basically like I'd drive somewhere and I would take like a spare set of clothes in like a backpack because whatever I was wearing was just gonna be soaked in sweat by the time I got to wherever I was going.
That's horrible. It's either fucking ruin your car or fucking die of a heat stroke.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh man, I'm gonna have some beers in Round Rock. Fuck it, let's risk it.
Let's risk it. That's wild, dude. Fucking wild.
What about you, Tony?
Aren't you excited to join us in the world of like car drivers, Doey?
No, he's not.
Aren't you excited to join us in the world of car drivers?
Oh man, after this last week's interaction in the subway, I'm more than ready to buy a car. Fuck the subway. And fuck Mayor de Blasio trying to this motherfucker took the subway this week and he's like, oh, the subways are fine. I don't know why the MTA is saying that they're not. I took the subway one time this week, bro, and encountered some bullshit, and I'm not. No fucking thank you, bro. Mayor de Blasio, kiss my fucking ass. You're a fucking rat bastard for trying to put that image out. Like, no, dude, it's a problem. You go to the subway and there's an issue. Obvious issue.
What's the issue?
There's a lot of people smoking cigarettes in the trains. Anytime I go into the subway, either going to work or coming back, I always encounter one person in the subway cart smoking cigarettes. And I usually move to the next cart, but I was fed up and I blew up. And I shouldn't have blown up, but I had to. I had to tell this person off.
Did they stop smoking?
No. They did not.
What a piece of shit.
And at a certain point in time, we were in the conductor's cart, the cart that the middle conductor is in. So he came out of his little shack and he was like, who's smoking a cigarette in here? And I stood up with the most like passion. I said, it's that bitch right there.
Oh my God.
I was so upset, bro. I was so upset. I was so tight.
Were you two the only ones in the cart?
No, it was a full cart. And I actually gave the strength for other people to kind of be like, yeah, don't smoke cigarettes in the cart. So a few people had already like expressed their distaste with her smoking a cigarette inside the train cart. And you had people like this. Like you had like a lot of people like just doing a lot of different
people not
things.
wearing masks?
Of course they're wearing masks, but it's
so
like
they have a mask on and then their shirt goes on top of it.
Yeah, I mean it's a tactic because like before COVID, you'd get a lot of like homeless people, and they have stenches, varying level of stenches, and you just quick one like that. You know
What
what I
does the
mean? While
middle
they're
train
coming.
conductor possibly do?
He came out. He told her, "Stop, yo,
But,
cut,
oh no,
cut the cigarette."
no, I mean in general. Like, what does that man do? Does that man deserve the title of conductor? What is he
Yes,
possibly conducting?
Okay. So the front of the train, he drives the train. He moves the train forward. He makes
Mhm.
sure that he stops at the right length so that people can get out. What the middle conductor does is make sure everybody's out, and then whoever's coming in is in. He looks towards the back. He closes the back half of the doors. He looks towards the front. He closes the front half of the doors. And then that way, once everything is closed, the front of the train can drive. And
Okay.
they also have to point at this little sign at every stop. They have to put down their thing. They have to point at this little sign, and then it's recording them
finger?
too. They have to point at the sign. They do this. They
I
point
don't,
at it.
I don't know that I agree that these people
And what does that
deserve
do, though?
the title
Huh?
conductor.
Like, why do they go like this? Like,
It's to make sure they're paying attention on camera. You know what I mean? It's like they're still awake. They still remember that they have, you know what I mean?
Huh.
Interesting.
So
How
Tony,
you doing today, Tony? Or this week or this weekend? How you botched it for everybody?
I botched that shit. No, it was good. Didn't do too much besides work a lot. Saturday I did get my Pfizer shot. Fucking arm
Yeah.
is sore as hell. That shit even started soring up my whole chest muscle too. Like yesterday, I was dying. That shit felt like shit. I went home and literally just went to bed. As soon as I got home, I just went to bed. And this morning, it's still a little sore, but it's whatever. And I still have to go and get my second shot. That's the worst thing about it. So it's just like contemplating back and forth. Like, damn, should I wait a little bit longer than the due date? Like, because it's like I go back to get my shot May 15th, and
The due date of what?
like of my child. So the due date of my child is May 20th, but the shot's May 15th. So I was just contemplating whether or not, like, damn, like, because everyone says the second shot is where you get like a little bit of a symptoms, like you get a runny nose or you feel like you're getting sick, but you don't really get sick by the next day. So
you have an increased chance of symptoms, is what it seems like. I mean, that's anecdotal. I haven't looked at the actual research, but that seems the second shot seems like the one where most people that I know have gotten like fevers and whatnot. But the majority of people I know that have gotten their Pfizer shot, nothing. Like they're like, my arm hurt a little bit. That's it.
no, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's what I'm expecting. But it's just like, with a child, you don't know if it's a premature, they're born a little early or they're born a little late. Like you really never know. So it's just like, God forbid that I get the shot and then she goes into labor that same day and I'm here with a fever. They won't let me in.
You should. My recommendation would be, rather than like not getting the shot, would be to see if you can reach out and explain your circumstances and try to get it a week early.
Probably, yeah, I should do that.
Yeah, when did you get the first shot? Because you
Yesterday.
usually only have to wait 3 weeks. Oh yeah, I'm a fucking idiot. So yeah, I was actually in Palm Beach with Tony when this happened. So,
Yeah, I would reach out. I mean, you're supposed to be able to get the second one as soon as 2 weeks, I think, right?
when did child do?
May 20th?
Yeah, because you could get it as soon as the 8th, and probably that whole week. Because like I'm scheduled to get mine on the 30th, but I just got my shot, I don't know, on the 9th.
Mhm.
So right, I don't know. So I'm only waiting 3 weeks to get mine.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Now they're talking Pfizer's. You need a booster 9 months after getting your second shot. So
That was honestly kind of expected, though. I mean, like this, the vaccine did roll out super fast, and they didn't have like the time frame to study like the long term efficacy of the shot. So like it makes sense as a booster. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a Moderna booster too. Like once there's more studies, they're probably going to be like, oh, at 11 months or 12 months, you probably need a booster or something.
I mean, I got a sticker and I got a lollipop with my first shot. So like,
damn, I didn't. Oh, I actually got water, popcorn.
They gave me
people were abusing that shit. I saw one woman walk up. She grabbed like 3 waters, a couple popcorns, a couple chips. She got the kennel corn, And I saw her walk out. I was like, oh, she probably got like a family or something. She sat down with her boyfriend.
What is chemicorn?
I think you meant to say kettle corn.
Kettle corn.
Oh,
English is tough with Pucho.
They gave us water. They didn't give us shit. They just some water there.
Tony's making fun of my words right now.
Did you ask for a lollipop? Because you have to ask for it if you want to get it.
But Krispy Kreme, if you go to Krispy Kreme with your vaccination card, you can get some fucking donuts. And I'm about to do that shit. I don't know. Bitch. I have no idea, but I'm planning on taking a 40 deuce trip tonight to go see if I can make that happen for myself.
Is that the closest Krispy Kreme?
They have a brand new one, and I just want to try it out. Oh, everything is so shiny in there. It's so beautiful. They have a huge sign.
Destroyed by the people yet.
Exactly.
So like weed is legal in New York, right?
Yes.
But do you still have to buy it from like shady ass drug dealers right now until they get the system in place?
We still got to go in strangers' cars and strangers' houses. And like, I can't wait till I'm telling my kids this. Mommy and Daddy went into strangers' cars.
Yeah,
I mean that'll be over in like within the year, probably more like 7-8 months or something. You're gonna have probably like more. Well, not more. There's none now, but it'll be more available for most people to just go to dispensaries and stuff.
Facts.
Drug dealer game is gonna be out.
I'm gonna be completely honest.
I was having this conversation with someone, and they told me, "Nope, the drug dealers are gonna be just fine."
I might stop smoking weed altogether, and I might just move towards vape cartridges and edibles and stuff like that. I might just cut the smoke, like as far as the plant.
I've read that the vape cartridges are worse.
Yeah,
like they burn you, like they burn your throats and lungs, like
because of the heat.
Huh.
But
to each.
So I've seen. I don't know. Maybe they make better shit now, but just like I remember seeing all those vape pen people and stuff like that. Like that air was coming in so hot that it was like causing like a gradual damage, pretty much.
I was smoking dirty carts for a while. That shit almost put me in the hospital.
Those ones were dangerous.
Yeah, I remember that time.
I heard the chemicals they were using for those, like there was just so much variance because it was just homeboy making it in his bathroom or basement of his mom's house or something.
That's the crazy shit too, bro. Because I remember when I first bought a hookah pen, right? And it was just like the flavored tobacco because I didn't need nicotine. I just hookah, and I used it for about a week. And then I noticed that I started getting mad headaches and shit. So I just fucking tossed that bitch. I stopped using it. The next thing you know, I saw it on the news like a month later. The tobacco pens have this and that, and they were dirty. I'm like, wow, thank God I stopped because, like Doe was fucking sick, bro. I talked to that. Remember Doe when you was like, I don't know what it is and this and that. And you came down and was like, I think it's the cartridges. Like they gotta be dirty. And then boom, you found out that it was that. So it's just like, if you're gonna smoke the plants. That's how I say. I like fuck all those cartridges because you don't know what they're putting in that shit.
I mean, don't smoke tobacco. That's just bad.
I got some.
And something you said too that it didn't have nicotine. Tobacco just has nicotine. It's like you're not separating the tobacco from the nicotine. I know, like on cigarettes, they add nicotine to cigarettes, and they add additional nicotine to those cartridges because they want you to get hooked. And then the intent for the cartridges is to get you off of smoking. But also, the funny thing, studies show people who use the cartridges, they just end up smoking more anyways. Mm-hmm. But yeah, tobacco itself contains nicotine, so it's like, pick your poison.
It's like a low amount, I think, too. Maybe it's like a low dose.
It'll get you hooked.
Oh no, yeah, that's the whole point of that. They just want you to keep coming back.
No. I mean, just the plant itself will get you hooked to smoking tobacco.
That's crazy.
So you were gonna say something though? I was cutting you off.
No, like I got some legal cartridges from Massachusetts, and those hit a lot cleaner, and I didn't feel the effects that I was feeling when I was smoking dirty carts. They were a lot better. So hopefully, as time moves on, it gets more clean, and you know what I mean. But I'm gonna be. Eventually, I'm gonna have to stop smoking altogether. I started smoking at the tender age of 13 years old, and I haven't really stopped. I stopped maybe for 1 year in between there, but like I'm eventually gonna have to stop smoking and like
kind of
start
funny
just
though, because
eating edibles.
you're starting to stop when it's starting to become legal. So it's just like now it's just you're gonna go into edibles, which would now actually have a full body. You'll have more of a full body high now. So like
I'm ready for it.
I don't think could you be able to go to work and operate like that? Like having a full body high? I mean, you've been smoking now for a while, but I don't think you'll be able to operate efficiently, like
Let's
versus smoking
happens.
it.
I'll see how I feel. You know what I mean? I'll try it out.
Them edibles are hit or miss too. Them shits be hitting different. You be seeing people, they'll eat the same batch of edibles, and one they'll be totally fine, and then the next one they fucking leaning like a crackhead. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
The thing that you do is like if you eat an edible and it hits you, just go to bed. Just try to go to sleep. You'll wake up and you'll be
that
fine.
shit is whack though. It's like, why even put anything in your body?
Because sometimes that shit just hits you too hard. Like, nigga, that shit can hit you hard.
I don't know. I don't see the point. Like, I wouldn't want to like have drinks and then be like, all right, cool. I got my drinks. I'm feeling nice, and time to go to sleep. I guess it's like I don't know.
It sounds like when you get the spins from drinking too much and you try to go to sleep though, and then the entire bed just feels like it's rotating around.
Oh my god! I remember the first time that I got like really like I drank a number of times. But the first time I got drunk, we bought. It's so stupid. We had bought like a bunch of Heinekens, and we were just standing on my mom's block is a dead end, and we were all just taking turns just chugging these Heinekens on this corner. We were young, you know what I'm saying, and we were trying to do our dirt and be hidden.
Were these cold Heinekens or were these like warm Heinekens?
Well, they were like warming. We didn't have a cooler, but they were cold when sold. Come on, Mateo. I'm not a savage.
Sound like they got. I've got
underage drinking stories. I've got underage drinking stories where we were just drinking like room temperature beer because that's all we could get, and it was like, well,
there was a lot of liquor stores that they just used to sell us alcohol. I remember I used to go to the there's a liquor store. I don't even want to call it out. I don't even know. But we used to go to this one spot. I was maybe like 14 years old. I just used to walk right in, grab a big ass bottle of whatever I want, go pay the guy, and walk right out. And I would do this. This lasted years. No lie, years. And I remember one day I walked in, grabbed the bottle. I might have been like 16, 17 years old. I walked in, grabbed the bottle, went to pay, and the guy said, ID? And I said, what, motherfucker? I've been coming here for years. What the fuck you mean, ID? He's like, I don't know who you are, ID? I'm like, man, fuck you. And I left. I was so mad. I was like, we done built up a relationship. We have a rapport. I trusted you.
It's the same guy?
Same man, yeah. Damn. He still sells me liquor. Same guy. Same store.
Till this day.
I don't go there too often. Their price is a little higher than the other spot we go.
The image of you at 16 say, fuck you. I've been coming here for years.
I don't know. I'm a big dude, so I don't know if maybe there was like ignorance there on his part. He just sees like a big guy walk in with confidence, grab the bottle, just go up and pay. Like I don't get ID'd when I go to liquor stores anymore. Like it happens occasionally. Like when you go to these chains like ABC Liquor, shit like that, their policy is like they just have to ID. But all these mom and pop shops, you walk in, they don't really check you. So I wonder if maybe I was just passing for years. Or maybe he knew he was selling liquor to minors and, he was making his money, Mm-hmm. I'm a cynical man, so I tend to go with the latter. I'd like to think he had an inspection that didn't go too hot or something. And he was like, I got to ID everybody.
Yeah, I was 15 years old and they were selling me liquor at the like corner stores and stuff. There was a Texaco, there was a BP, and I knew the people there for a long time. And they just let me buy beer.
That's crazy. I mean, it happens though. I mean, it's
y'all don't remember coming to my house and I go get beer from the store?
Yeah, I remember. We were in high school and Dowie was like, hey, you want a red stripe? I'm like, what the fuck's a red stripe?
Ew.
Dowie was drinking those Jamaican beers. I was just happy to be, 15 years old, playing rock band, got out of school. I got out of my work shift and I'm like, I'm going to just drink this beer like a grown-ass man,
This is adding some more pieces to Tony over there breaking instruments and shit while you were playing rock band.
Beer was involved.
One red stripe. Hell no, I didn't drink not one of those.
There was one night.
I remember the first time I got drunk with Tony.
What was that red striped
Oh
thing?
my
It's
God.
beer, gay beer.
This
We can
man
talk about-
Pucho is the worst person.
We could say this for another time.
You
We
want to
could
say it for
dr-
another time?
Yeah, we could all share our favorite drunken stories. I don't know. That was
I don't know. Shit was beast.
It was funny.